You had the chance to talk to Ray Anderson a little bit today, and getting the chance to talk to an athletic director during, arguably one of the wildest times in terms of college athletics in recent memory, conference realignment, everything. Mm-hmm. What were you able to get from those conversations?
Well, I when he came over to speak with us, I was like, okay, here we're gonna cheer on the new name change and whatever, and ask him what it means. And, we're definitely going to try to ask him about, conference realignment and the media deal, but we're not going to get anything, whatever. And I didn't think we were going to get much. I didn't think anything was going to come of it. I thought it was just going to be more of we stand with the pack. Like, well, this is our conference and we stand with them. And he stopped waving the Pac-12 flag for the first time ever. Like, he completely stopped.
Yeah,
like, the tune changed 100%, changed tenfold. Like, he was not this rah conference of champions. I stand with Kleovgov. But he also wasn't outwardly against it. You could just tell he wasn't going out of his way to say we are staying in the pack. We are committed to the pack. It was more of just uncertainty, kind of what all the ASU fans have been feeling. And this did feel a little bit like he stopped speaking for Michael Crow and he stopped speaking for the school and started speaking for an athletic director. And that was kind of refreshing.
Yeah. And an interesting part, and we'll get to the clip here in a second, but instead of going all rah, hip, hip, hooray for the Pac-12 and George Kleovgov and this Apple deal, it was more so of like, we are Arizona State. And at this point, it almost felt like a little bit of a selling point or something that he could use as bait in terms of some of these conference discussions go.
The PHNX Wildcats or AZ Wildcats podcast was live today, and they were talking about the Ray Anderson clip that I had sent them. And I liked the piece that I think Shearer said it. They were basically saying, like, this feels more like ASU is being like, we know our worth. We're an attractive location. Like, we know that. So we're not scared. We're not worried. And I like that.
Yeah, absolutely. This is what Ray Anderson had to say in terms of Arizona State being in a good spot, regardless of the conference.
I know you have to ask, but we're not really commenting on that now because it's in a state where credibility is dependent on confidentiality. And so I can't respond to that other than to tell you I remain extremely hopeful and understand personally that no matter how it ends up, Arizona State will be in a good spot. We are in a very good spot. We are a very respected and coveted institution and program and property as far as media folks and conferences determine and think about us.
Wanikin with an all-time comment. Maybe Crow was visited by 3 ghosts and realizes we need to go to the Big 12.
Who is the ghost of Pac-12 past?
Oh, God. Larry Scott has to be one.
Yeah.
Right? Like, maybe all 3 ghosts are just Larry Scott.
That ghost of Pac-12 present is Kleovgov. Who's the ghost of Pac-12 future? The president of Oregon State.
Oh, my God.
It's Connor.
Oh, my God.
It's Connor Johnson in the chat.
Look, he's not wrong. Ray Anderson, you're wrong about the ghost thing, but Ray Anderson, I don't think is wrong in terms of Arizona State being in a good spot.
Really?
Yes, I do think Arizona State is in a good spot.
Why do you say that?
Because I think in terms of being a program in an athletic department that other conferences would want. And I said this the other day in terms of the Big 10 and the Big 12. And there was a lot of heat in the comments about me saying that I'd be crazy that the Big 10 would have any interest in Arizona State. I get the idea that the athletic department and the teams in terms of football, basketball, baseball aren't otherworldly, right? They're not Ohio State. They're not Michigan. They're not in the SEC. They're not Alabama. They're not Georgia. However, one thing that Arizona State has above all of those is they have the market of Phoenix. Phoenix is a top 15 market in the country, and that will always be a selling point to any of these programs. It's always going to be a selling point to any of these streaming services. Like, you want Arizona State, not necessarily for what it's going to bring you in terms of football, basketball, and baseball. If you get anything from that, that is awesome. And I think at a certain point you will. We're seeing it in Kenny Dillingham. You're seeing it a little bit year after year in Bobby Hurley. But the idea of adding a top-tier market like that is huge. Because if you look at the top 10 markets, see if you can pull up the top 10 markets for me in America, at least in terms of television markets. How many of those massive cities have universities that are up for grabs right now?
LA? No, technically.
You have what? You'll have
Cal? Is Cal LA?
No, Cal has its own. It's closer to San Jose.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Literally outside of San Francisco.
I mean, it's just
where you get that market.
The Pac-12 is just the only thing up for grabs. Or we're talking ACC schools too, because you have Boston, you have Atlanta, you have Philly, Chicago, New York. Yeah, there's not. I mean,
In terms of the ACC.
yeah.
Like it is a massive
Phoenix is
market
11 now.
it's a selling point. It's a selling point. And I think that is where what Ray is having to say is not necessarily, again, a point of like, we're trying to sell our athletics programs to these massive conferences. They're getting programs that, again, are mid-tier, but you're getting a giant player in terms of a market. And I think that'll sell Big 10 or Big 12. I really
So
don't care.
you don't think they put themselves in a good spot. You just think they're in a good spot inherently, by the
Yeah, I think inherently they're going to always be in a good spot because of the market. At least that's my 2 cents on it.